Good morning, everyone. This is Dan with E-Bike Nation. This is Caleb.
Hi.
Caleb is going to do a repair. We're putting on new tires on this Cyrusher Komoda. I had a flat tire. As you guys, I got a video coming out later today about the repair on the trail. But now we're going to change and put new tires. A company sent me. I'll get the name and put it in the description. Link to their company on new tires. And we may have to replace the tube. We don't know yet. The flat was on the back tire. As I showed you on the video, the piece of wood come out of my tire. And yeah, it went through the tannis liner as well. So that was different. Yeah. So anyway, he's going to do this, and then Caleb agrees that would be unusual for a piece of wood to go through like that. I'm going to go get the piece of wood.
But yeah, most likely doing a tube change on the rear. But I know we're definitely changing both tires. So on this specific bike, the Cyrusher Komoda, a 3/4 inch wrench works on the hub motor, axle bolts, and a 15 millimeter on the front wheel axle bolts. So I already broke them loose just to make sure I had the right size and everything. The front wheel just slides off, super easy.
There's the piece of wood that come out of the tire.
And you can see just like that, front wheel's off.
Check it out, Caleb.
Oh yeah, I can see.
It was all the way down to the.
I can see why it went through though.
The thickness of it.
Yeah.
I'd have been better off picking up a screw, huh?
But disconnect your one motor connector. Loosen both bolts, and it may take a little finagling on these.
I think most of them do.
Yeah, because
sometimes they're kind of stuck in the dropout.
Yeah, so what happens is the torque from the motor and slowing down locks the washers down there in place. So there's washers on these that, trying to think how they lock the motor in place more to prevent the dropout getting stripped.
And the torque of the motor itself does that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So most likely you need like a flathead screwdriver.
Okay. Get one out of my handy dandy toolbox there.
And while Dan does that, I'm gonna take both of the rear motor bolts off completely. Or nuts, sorry.
I got a couple of them here. They're about the same size. I can get bigger ones if you need them.
There's both the motor bolts out.
I can see them getting hung up in there. I watched a video on one. I can't remember how he did that, to loosen that.
Yeah. I did it on the
Walkie?
Yeah.
Was it the same thing?
Similar, yeah. Alright.
Ah!
So what I did was I took an adjustable wrench and the flat spots on the axle for the motor. I put it against those and twisted the motor to where the axle wasn't locked in place anymore, and it should just come straight out. It's hung up on the chain a little bit.
Should I pull that out?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go, that's the rear wheel. Then
Caleb makes it look so easy.
now I'm going to throw these motor bolts and the little washers that were on them on here.
So we don't lose them?
Yeah. If you're taking apart anything, I recommend if you can put the nuts or bolts where they came out of, do it so you don't lose them or forget where they go.
But yeah, Here's the tire that's got the flat, had the flat in it. I showed you the piece of wood, and I'll see if I can find the area where that was. I actually had to put air in the tire. I was 15 miles from home when this happened, and I had to put air in the tire 6 different times just to leg it home. So yeah, this is why you come prepared on the bike trail with either flat out or slime. We prefer flat out, and you want to make sure that you carry a valve stem remover with you.
Yeah. Because
I would not have been able to even put the slime in there without that. Or carry a can of Fix-A-Flat. I don't prefer that over slime or flat out. But yeah, that's what you got to do when you're on the trail. So Caleb's going to finish working on this little build here, or shall we say repair.
So what we're going to need is a valve stem tool.
Another one?
Yeah, to let all the air out of those.
Okay, I've got that on my bike, should have them in there now.
So what we're going to do is we're going to remove all the air from the tires to make it easier to remove them. So less air lets the tire / inner tube have more give. And then that makes it a lot easier to remove the tire.
You want your chair here? No.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take our tire, take off our valve stem cap right here. Then we're going to use our little valve stem tool. Lightly go over until it goes into place. Unscrew the valve stem, and in a second you'll hear all the air come out.
That tube's probably still good on this front tire. You'll see Tanis liners in this once he takes these apart.
And you could hear the tire popping off the beach.
Sure did. You need a tire
tire lever.
Tire lever. See if I can find it. Should have had all this stuff pulled out before I had you working on it. Find which bike I got them in. It's always the fun.
And the tires we're using on these are High Climb.
High Climb.
Yep, 20x4 tires, which are the same tires I have on my 1500 watt e-chopper. So I can attest to the quality of those tires. I've had them for about, give or take, 1,000 miles now. And I mean, they've held up pretty well. I had one puncture, which the flat out fixed for me. Prevented me from, really prevented getting stuck on the trail. Yeah.
As Dan is still looking for what I need. I do have one. After I take everything out and find the right one.
And as I said earlier, always put stuff back so you don't forget where it goes. So I put the valve stem back in after letting out all the air. And then
I have 2 of them, but I might have to dig the other one out.
Put the cap on it. So now we're gonna get your tire lever right under here. Pop it out. Alright, and it's enough to where I can get my hand under here now.
Yeah. Finish pulling the rest of it out.
It should come out relatively easy.
But this is how you take the tire off. You really need a tire lever. You could probably do it in emergency with screwdrivers. I don't recommend the screwdrivers. You can puncture a tube.
That's one really big problem with using screwdrivers.
And that's why we have tire levers.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is pull out the whole tire, tube, and Tanis liner, the opposite side from the valve stem.
Why is that you do it the opposite side, Caleb?
because the valve stem is still stuck in the rim.
Okay.
So we'll assemble it the same exact way too.
Okay.
I just need to get the...
As you can see, that pink stuff in there is your Tannis liner. Might be a little difficult to get that out because it's something else in that rim that is foreign. So he'll have to work with it here to get this off, but he'll get it. Sometimes things just are a little more difficult.
Well, there's your tube.
Yeah, there's the tube. Probably easier to get that out instead of the liner.
And
The liner's in there pretty good, isn't it?
yeah. There's the liner. Popped all the way out. And I'll have to
Use the tire lever.
which this is one of the reasons you want to drain all the air out. Because if there's a lot of air in here still,
You wouldn't be able to get it off that rim.
yeah.
Still in there pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's close. This is...
Yeah, again, this would not be a normal repair, taking a tire apart, but we have the Tannis liner that's shoved in there too. And the Tannis liners work pretty well, except yesterday I had a failure on the Tannis liner. But you seen the piece of wood that come out of there, so it unfortunately could not withstand that piece of wood.
yeah.
It was just too firm on that piece of wood, and it just went right through it.
So hook it with the tire lever, get it right over the top, and I'll hold this down here.
That'd be a little difficult to get over.
Yeah. So you can see, I've started to get the tire off.
Yeah.
It's just...
Maybe if we put some soap on there, might have been a little easier.
yeah.
Might have to get a little bottle of squirt soap here and make that a little easier to get off. But he's still working on it.
Well, it's starting to come off a tiny bit.
There we go. Stand up and put some pressure on that, huh? It's on there pretty good.
Yeah, pop the liner all the way through.
Come on, make it. Yeah, it's starting to come off now. There he goes.
And there we go.
It was a little difficult, but he made it. And there's your Tannis liner and your tube. And of course, this was the good tire.
Yep.
How much trouble you think we'll have putting them Tannis liners back in there?
Shouldn't be too bad.
You don't think? No. All right, there you go. There's your tube and your liner. Of course, this one's a good one. We're going to put this right back on the tire. I'm assuming.
Yeah, which those are right over here.
So Caleb will go ahead and repair this first one on the front tire.
And whenever you're doing a tire change,
There you go,
doesn't doesn't matter as much on these, but because these tires are the same each way, but there should be a little arrow.
I did, yeah, I think I do mention that, so you know what direction. There you go.
That is right here. So what you're going to want to do is
see the arrow?
Find whichever side your disc brake's on, and you're going to want to put this in the same rotating, same way
direction.
the tire, yeah, same direction the tire's rotate.
Okay, so that's why the arrow's on the tire.
So the arrow goes the same way the tire rotates.
So basically, that's the way it goes on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you think it'd be the other way, but
it's upside down.
Good point. Duh. Caleb has said a good point. It's upside down, so that's why it looks like it's the wrong direction. So now he's going to work on the trying to get this Tannis liner and this tube back in there.
Yeah.
That might take a little bit, but he'll figure it out. He's going to take a little more air out of the tire.
Yeah,
or
I'm
the
just
tube.
gonna actually leave the
Valve stem loose.
Yeah, the valve stem out.
There you go.
So I'll set that over here with my valve stem tool.
Now he's going to put this in the new tire. In theory. It'll just take some maneuvering around on the liner and the tube to get it placed in the tire. I think them are just regular 20-inch tubes then, aren't they, Caleb?
Yeah.
They're not smaller tubes, I don't think. We talked about that yesterday.
Well, actually, no, I'm pretty sure these are smaller tubes.
Do you think?
It should say somewhere on them.
We'll know more once we take the back tire off because that tube's got to come out. We got to look at that other tube and see where the puncture is.
So I'm going to push my valve stem through the hole.
That's the first thing you got to do.
Yep. And do you know where the valve stem cap is?
I got it in my pocket.
All right. Yeah.
Here you go.
You're going to want to put that on there to keep the
air from coming out.
Well,
or not the air, but
the valve stem from going
the valve stem from coming out. That cap keeps that from sliding back in the rim.
So then you're going to start one side, working your way around.
Again, this would not probably be a lot easier if we did not have the Tannis liner in there.
Yeah.
The Tannis liners, I highly recommend them. I almost went 1,500 miles before I had a flat tire. The Tannis liners are a little pricey. I think I paid $120 for a set of these. They're not real inexpensive, but it just gives you added protection when you're on the trail.
Yeah.
Or when you're on the road, for that matter. Caleb's changed a few flat tires on his bikes. Matter of fact, on his walkie, the tube got destroyed. We tried to fix it with the patches and everything, and it just would not hold air. So we finally came to the conclusion that had to be replaced. And Caleb is going to modify his walkie.
Yeah.
He's got some good ideas, so he's going to do a build on that walkie. He's going to take a lot of the parts off of that and rebuild it with some of the things he wants, maybe bigger motor. But he'll be working on that. We'll be doing a video on that as well.
Yeah, I'll have to. It's a little bit of a process getting these tires back on.
Expected with a liner in there.
Well, these tires are really stiff too.
Oh, you got the stiffness of the tire too. You're right. Brand new tires.
So, trying to just put the tire on right now.
Get it somewhat in the bead. As you can see, he's using the tire lever to get that back over there. And once he gets the rim over that first rim here, it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely.
It's getting that first side on. Then the second side you can maneuver a little bit easier. But as you can see how tight those tires are because they're brand new. And hope they don't slide down on the other side. Or slide out of the other side, I mean.
Right. This was even a process on my bike.
Was it?
So it's gonna definitely take a little bit to get these on.
I heard something pop.
Yeah, that was the bead going over.
Okay. It's a slow process, but he's getting there.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, this is definitely going to take a little bit of time. Especially your first time doing it.
Yeah, again, these are new tires. They're stiff. They're not quite as easy to get on.
No.
But I think I'm going to go ahead and pause the video right here so Caleb can work this on, and we'll pick you up here in just a second.
Alright, so we got our tire mounted here. So something I'd recommend, which helped me a lot, is only do one thing at a time. So what I didn't notice is the Tannis liner was partially in there because of the valve stem here. So I popped the valve stem out, drained the rest of the air out of it, and then took the tube and Tannis liner not completely out, but to where they weren't under the rim, and that made it a lot easier to get the tire on this side. The second side, super easy, less than 10 seconds, it just slid straight on after getting the tube and Tannis liner in there. So it was basically as easy as get the tube, liner in there, pop this other side of the tire on, and then basically just put the valve stem back in, and then pump the tire up. And then of course you want to make sure the tire's centered right on these.
Caleb has renamed my bike. We might as well tell you in the future. It has went from the Cyrusher Komoda to, what did you name it, Caleb?
The Creamsicle.
He has now renamed the Komoda the Creamsicle. He looked at it and he didn't even hesitate. He said, that's a creamsicle. I said, you know what? It does kind of look like one. You can go to an ice cream shop and get that pretty much the same color.
I know, yeah.
The creamsicle. Okay, he's putting this back in the dropouts here, and it just went down, and yeah. But as he mentioned, that arrow is very important that you've got it in the right direction on the tire.
So it's going to be turning as you're going forward. It's going to be turning just like this.
And that's why the arrow is on the tire. So just a little heads up on that. But yeah, now we're going to start working on the rear here, I guess.
Yeah.
And we'll be filming here until we run into a little bit.
Yeah.
That it's going to take longer than we think. So.
And like I said, my bike over here, I've been using these same tires. They're super dirty, though, on my bike.
I renamed this one. He did name it Stan. And I said, since you did the modification, it is now called Stanley. So Stanley and Creamsicle. But yeah, look at this beast. This is a 1,500 watt motor he's got on this bike. He takes it to work every day. Yeah, it's a beautiful bike. He's got three different batteries for this now, I think.
Yeah.
And he's done some work on this, but yeah, this is the stuff that Caleb can do. So he put some pegs on here. If you noticed, he took off the pedals, and this thing is basically throttle only. So he may or may not modify that in the future. But look at this thing. This is an old Schwinn bike.
Oh, it's a 2005.
2005 was still 20 years old almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he's done a really good job on this, modifying it. These tires, we think, are the identical tires.
They are, yeah.
That he just put on this bike. Same manufacturer.
It's just, those are very dirty. I haven't cleaned them.
Look at your sidewalls, or you look at your white walls. I'd almost be embarrassed to ride with you that dirty.
I think it matches the look of the bike because the whole bike's a little darker.
Yeah. Stanley could use a little bit of cleaning, but yeah, that's a great looking bike. I think he did a good job on the modifications on it, and he's going to do the same thing to the walkie. What do you got planned for the walkie, real quick?
I was thinking about the same 1500 watt rear motor, maybe 1000 watt front motor.
That's the Walkie X3 Pro?
And then I was thinking of removing the 3 and then just having it as the Walkie X.
Ah, gotcha.
So
that's in his plans now.
It'd have 2500 watts of motor on it.
That's huge.
Which this is a future build. This is probably going to happen in spring.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the plan for that.
Caleb's got almost a full-time job now at Chick-fil-A in the mall.
Yeah.
And he's really liking it, so give him some extra spending money. He's still got a senior year of school to go here.
Yeah.
And he's getting ready to launch into that before long, I guess. But yeah, anyway, Caleb is going to start working on this back tire. And we may shut the camera off a little bit once he gets going on that. Depends on how many problems we run into trying to get the tire off again. We're dealing with these Tanis liners is kind of a little bit cumbersome, you may say.
Yeah.
But Caleb will figure it out. He's pretty good with this stuff. So what's next there, Mr. Caleb?
Basically, same process as the front.
Okay.
But it's on the rear.
But on the rear. So there's really no difference except you got the weight differential with the motor on the back.
Yeah, there's really no difference.
Do you think we ought to take a brush and do anything with these gears while we have this off or not? Do you think they still look pretty good?
You could clean them if you want, yeah.
What do you think I should clean them with? Brake cleaner or something maybe? Or no?
These motors are pretty waterproof.
Okay.
So you could just basically spray down right here. Stay away from all the motor wires and everything. And just scrub it down with a little brush and some degreaser.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good idea. I do have a toolkit up here that I purchased for working on bikes. Cleaning them. Probably got brushes in here that he's talking about. Which one do you think's good for that? We got some brushes here. Caleb's going to look through the box here and see what he thinks.
I think this is perfect for getting in between all those. All the gears.
Good. So we'll be cleaning that up too. Since you already got it off the bike, this is good to go ahead and do that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then this bike's got 1,870 miles on it after yesterday.
So I surpassed the miles on this.
You should what?
I surpassed the miles.
You did
on
surpass the miles on the creamsicle. Cyrusher, don't mean to say that in any negatory, defamatory remark. It's still the Komoda, but it's still the creamsicle between me and Caleb. I do have your hat on today, and I got your shirt on today that you sent me, so how about that? Again, the Cyrusher Komoda creamsicle is about to get a flat tire changed on the back. That is the one that went flat, so Caleb's going to work on that here. So, yeah, he's going to see what we got to do.
So this one will be virtually the same as the front. So I'll get my valve stem at the bottom here.
Okay.
Remove the valve stem.
I bought Caleb a nice seat to sit on, but he always sits on the floor. I get down on the floor, I can't get back up. Oh, that popped out. It only had about 7 pounds of air in it. But it's important that you guys get you, if you don't have them, there's several different makes. I prefer this one. This is a battery operated rechargeable air pump. And if I did not have this yesterday, I would have not made it home.
Yeah.
So you got to have good tools when you're working on this stuff. And as we know, Caleb's he rides these enough to know that you always check to make sure you got the right stuff with you when you go out on these rides.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be stuck like Caleb. He's working late at night and he's coming home at dark. That's the last thing you want is a flat tire.
Yeah, it's like I don't work super late.
Get off what, about 8?
Yeah, the mall closes at 8, so still, right now, it's dark out about 6:30.
It's dark before you get home. How does your, do you have the Acuna on the front? Yes, you do.
And I actually have mine tinted, and it's still bright.
I got comments on my channel, blinds people coming towards you.
Yep, that's exactly why I tinted it. And it looks better.
Those Acuna lights, headlights, got 2,600 lumens.
And it's a true 2,600 lumens.
It's bright.
It's not one of these ones where it's saying that it's that bright. It is that.
It is that bright. Whoop. Turn that compressor off. Enough of that. Yeah, I had some comments on my video about them lights blinding people. They would give them the bright lights, and that was the regular light.
Yeah, my low beam on there before I tinted it was still bright.
Was it really? Did the tinting seem to help it some?
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's not as bright on the bike trail or anything, but
yeah,
it's enough to where you can still see 100 feet in front of you pretty easily.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Now we're going to see where that thing was punctured. Throw some air in that tube and see if it is leaking at all.
We could try patching it, but I'd recommend just getting a new tube.
If we can find a new tube, we're going to be better off. I don't want to have to deal with this again. And I know a lot of you guys can do these repairs on your own, but I tell you, it's been a blessing for me to have Caleb. As I've mentioned on other videos, he's got an old soul. He kind of like hanging out with older people. The boy's talented when it comes to doing the repairs.
So I'm just going to take this...
Take it out same time, ain't you?
Yep. Take the tennis liner.
Might be easier to get that tire out.
Tube. Yeah, just take them completely out.
See if we can find the hole in the tennis liner.
Well, it'd be on the tube somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be a big one.
It's somewhere on the tube.
Might have put some air in to see where it was, but it's got to be damaged. I don't think that Kevlar, I don't think that slime actually, there. I see the hole. You just went by it on the liner.
Oh,
right
yeah.
There. Right there it is. Show that on the picture. There's where it punctured the tennis liner.
Right there, that little black spot.
Went right through it. And now again, you got to remember, I had 225 pounds on the back of that bike, and that must have hit that just right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that goes to show you, you can still get a flat with a tennis liner. I've seen several videos on that. But we also know the more protection you have on these tires, the better off you're going to be. You don't have to deal with problems.
Yeah.
And that's why we put flat out and stuff in. I'm just curious where that hole is on this. We'll hear the air come out, that's for sure. You got the valve stem out here, don't you?
Yeah.
I ain't going to pump that up.
Well, it'll just let all the air out whenever you take it off.
Okay, yeah, it'll still stay on there until I get the air in there. Trying to find out where this, where it's at. I know it's still got a slow leak for sure. Now Caleb already got that one apart.
Yeah.
As you can see here, he's already got the tire off. This one was much quicker than the front one.
Yeah, that's because I learned how to take it apart. So
yeah.
You just gotta do one thing at a time.
So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take this tire now, see if I can find out where it's flat out here. That thing's broke on there. All right. Here it is. I hear it, unless it's a valve. It's got to be a decent sized hole, wouldn't you think? Couldn't have sealed that. There it is.
You can see the slime.
You see the slime there too. You can see the slime still coming out of that hole. It tried everything it could do to patch that. But as you can see that the piece of wood went in there was just too big. And the slime...
Really, the hole on that isn't that big.
Think it's patchable?
I guess, but...
It's still coming out.
Yeah, it's still coming out. I mean...
If we put more slime or flat out in there? What if we put more flat out in?
Personally, I think it'd just be better to get a new tube.
You're probably right, or I'm going to deal with this problem again. So Caleb's right. We're going to stop the camera here. We got to go get another tube. And yeah, it flattened that one. And that's in it. As I was coming home yesterday, that's how much air I was losing.
It is a 20x4 tube.
That's what I thought. All right, we're going to put you on hold here. We're going to check out. We got to go pick us up a tube at the bike shop here, and we'll see you here in a few minutes. Well, to you, it might be about 30 seconds. To us, it'd be about half hour.
All right, so we got our tire right here mounted on the rim and everything. We were going to video the rest of the process with this, but it's the exact same as the front. So we got a new tube for this. Put the new tube in. Put the tannis liner back in, new tire on it, made sure it goes the correct way on there. There should be an arrow right here, so the tire's going to be spinning this way. Okay. And that's the way the arrow's pointing. These tires, I don't think it necessarily matters, but, you know, it's always best just to make sure. So, we got our wheel here. We're going to reinstall it on our frame. I think I'm going to put the kickstand up.
Probably a good idea.
Make it a little
easier to get the motor in place. He's got to put that down in the dropouts, and of course he's got this, already kept the washers in there where they will lock in place. There it goes.
That side's lined up. This side is almost lined up.
It's in there now, isn't it?
Here we go. Now it's as easy as just tightening it down. And we should be good to go.
So we hope this video has been helpful for you guys. Caleb on the front tire had a little bit of struggle with the tannis liner, but on the back tire it was much quicker.
Yes, yeah.
And this took a 3/4 inch open-end wrench.
On the back, yeah.
On the back.
And on the front, it's a 15 millimeter.
It is smaller, isn't it?
Yeah.
I never paid attention to that. And they're going to make sure that the chain's lined up properly, and
a little shift into the correct gear.
alrighty.
And yeah.
Tighten your bolts down and call it a day, huh? Should we have a torque wrench that tells us how tight that should be? I know they sell them.
With these, it's not necessarily needed. It's just get it tight enough.
Make sure they're drawn down tight.
Yeah.
Because again, they have these lock washers that are in place as well. So yeah, there it is.
All right.
Caleb's going to do a test ride on this thing, of course.
Well, first we got a zip tie.
And put the motor cable back together. And of course, he's just going to screw that back on or plug it in.
So these two are separate right here.
Yep.
These two little metal pieces.
Yep.
And they just screw together.
And that tightens your connection right there.
Yep.
So I'll get him a couple. There's some black zip ties right over there hanging.
All right.
And of course, we're going to zip tie the cables so they don't be... We noticed on the back when they worked on it before, they didn't actually zip tie the cable properly.
Yes.
So Caleb's going to fix that now.
So on the rear, next to the brake disc. It was actually rubbing the brake disc, so there was a tiny flat spot on the cable.
See that? Because it wasn't zip tied off of that on the frame, was it?
No.
Because there's actually holes that are made on this frame to where the zip ties actually go. So this time he's got it to where it's not sitting right on the rotor. That could have been very ugly if that had wound up going through that. We would have lost power to the motor, for sure.
And you would have definitely been stuck then.
Then I would have been stuck.
Yep. And then we're gonna...
So that's what them holes are for, aren't they, Caleb, on this frame?
Yeah.
Put
All those are
zip ties.
specifically for zip ties.
And that way it doesn't rub against the rotor and it's out of the way of the rotor where it should be. So yeah. Yeah, we had to run down to a local bike shop that two bike shops didn't have the tubes in, but we found one downtown that did have the tubes, so we shut off the video until we went down there and pick up the tubes for the bike. Tube, and then Caleb's got a slow leak in his rear, so we got one for him too. And not good to go into the wintertime with a slow leak and you're in the north.
Yeah.
In Florida, it's not so bad. You can kind of fix things on the go, but a little tougher to do when it's cold out. Should be our last zip tie here.
I should be able to tuck these wires.
Yeah, that was those were hanging out. I noticed before too, a little bit. That's better.
And
that's the repair on that, huh?
Yep. So I guess flip this thing back over.
And then he's going to ride it down the road here and see how the tires do, see if they're quieter. Them knobby tires do have some noise to them, obviously.
These should be a lot quieter.
That's what Caleb's thinking. He's got basically the same tire on his mod bike.
Alright.
Just a matter of getting the battery put back in here and he'll take it on a little test ride here. Them do look pretty cool, actually. The white does look better on that bike.
Can I get it out in the sun? Oh.
It looks pretty cool. So yeah, this is the Cyrusher slash, what do we call it? Creamsicle?
Yeah.
I had to turn it back on. It might be on a 30-minute limit. So yeah, there it is. Beautiful. Some of you may not like that white look, but I do. Nice looking touch on the bike. Caleb thinks I ought to put some chrome in here.